UFC 307, and Potan is going to be headlining the return of the promotion's fight back into Salt Lake City. It's what's going to be happening. The card's happening. It's going to be one of the highest points in all of the land, so people are going to be a little bit exhausted is probably what you would say about it. There's a few comments later on in the card from Alexandra Peña about that. She seems to think that it's no big deal.
Julianna Peña.
Oh, what did I say? Alexandra Peña, didn't I?
Alexandra Peña.
Alexander Potan. I did, didn't I? Oh, well. Julianna Peña.
Great start to the show, Si.
Yep. Well, I like this card. I do. Well, what about you? UFC 307. Because it was a bit of a surprise when it came around. It was a kind of card that a lot of people thought shouldn't have happened. What do you think about it now?
I'm pretty stoked for it, to be fair. I mean, I think there's a few banging fights on there, a couple of legends, a couple of heroes, some fan favorites, some up-and-comers as well. Got to keep our eyes on, especially in the women's bantamweight division. But yeah, no, I think there's some solid fights this week. And look, this month's stacked as it is anyway, because we're getting 2 pay-per-views out of the UFC. So why not be stoked for it?
Isn't it? That is pretty sexy. We'll kind of round up the year on a bit of a banger. And another thing says banger, then these 2 powerhouses going up against it. You got the power Potan with the hands, and then of course you got what do I want to call him? Roundtree. Well, no, Alexander Rountree. But Khalil Roundtree, who's also got like quite a stunning stat on paper. Have you seen it? Like knockouts wise, this guy is on an incredible streak. He's a streaking contender right now, and I don't think he is what everyone's all summed him up to be. Everyone kind of thought that this was going to be a bit of a knockoff card. It make sense. It shouldn't have happened. And when we get to the main card, I actually want to pick your brain about that a little bit more, because I am sticking firm. With my initial thoughts on it anyway. Have you managed to be swindled by the media and everyone else?
No, I mean, I've stayed away from it. I can see a bit of like I was saying the other night in the fan discussion with the guys, like I can see it being a potential upset, but at the same time, Khalil Rountree Jr. is no joke. He was in my ones to watch for this year for a reason. Well, didn't expect him to get a title fight.
No one did. No one did.
I knew he was going to be climbing the ranks because I just see something different about him this past year or so. And I'm excited to see him get the crack and see how he does against Alex Pereira. But my prediction for that fight will come out a little bit later on. If you tuned into the fan discussion on Monday night, you would have seen my discussion. But if you didn't catch it, then don't worry. I will reveal it again later on in this show.
What's the chat saying? We've got people in the house already. What's everyone saying down in below? Let's get some shout outs. Breezy's in the house.
Yes. He says, Si's awake. We got Making the Walk in the house. Who says, my new mythical fighter unlocked, Alexander Rountree.
Don't you love it?
Yes, Jax. Good to see you in the chats, man. Yeah, excellent chat with him the other night. And yeah, like I said, good to see you. I hope the weather is holding up in Texas over there.
I'd love to sort of get into a bit about mythical characters a bit later on. But without further ado, we're actually getting to the card. We start at the bottom, don't we?
Yes.
We start it.
Yes, absolutely.
Bring it from the bottom, now we're here. So let's have a scroll down then. So first up on the card, and I reckon at this point, bearing in mind, we'll get to the main card in the event, we're a little bit spoiled. We're going to have Thomas Wonderboy Thompson. I don't know what's going on with my words today. Honestly, I've been at the screen.
Come on, man. You need to stay awake. Where have you been this past 24 hours?
I actually have not taken my eyes off of the screen. My eyes are completely dead, but we've been doing everything from all sorts. You talked to Breezy about it, but podcasting and all sorting out stuff, including this card up until the point, man, including the bank details we had to sort out. Drop down the comments from the screen if you can, JK, and look, we'll get right into it. Okay, cool. So first up here in the middleweight bout is Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. And it's 13-3 in the red corner for the Georgian. And then, of course, it's 26-11-0 for the American. That's Kevin Holland. I think this fight is pretty much wrestler versus grappler. The way it's going to be matching up is going to be the likes of Dolidze wanting to get in real close. And then, of course, you got Kevin Holland on the outside trying to keep it at bay. But did you see the embedded this week? So you see the Dolidze on it?
No, I've not actually caught any of Embedded yet. I've been way too busy, but hopefully I'll catch all the episodes before it comes fight night.
I had it running in the background, and I actually caught a glimpse of his training. He's he's clearly, obviously a close range fighter, as we all know, but he's added a lot of elbows to his arsenal as well. At one point, he actually downed his opponent. He kneed him, and he went down like the guy, is his sparring partner, but he couldn't stand up afterwards. He's got a lot of natural power from Dolidze.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And, what's crazy about this matchup, I didn't really think it makes sense, to be honest. You've had Kevin Holland, who has been at welterweight for a little bit, come back to middleweight, beat Olashejuk, and now he's fighting a guy who literally just had a crack at light heavyweight and beat one of the top light heavyweights in that division, and has gone back down to middleweight. I mean, all right, granted, he stepped up on short notice for that fight, but after that, we thought, well, why doesn't Roman Dolidze just continue at light heavyweight? And now he's fighting a small middleweight, so it's a little bit crazy.
I mean, this is a card
in a way, and I think he does pack power.
This is a card of it, isn't it? This is a card of like mixed matchups, the ones you wouldn't expect. But to be honest, Roman Dolidze is going to want to implement a grappling game plan. He's the bigger guy, as you were saying there as well. It really is that simple. If he does do that, then I think he takes a fight. If he has it grappling, if he gets Kevin Holland down, but will he get the chance to sort of dictate where the fight takes place? That's the question. There's like a 5-8-inch reach advantage for, of course, Holland. So what do you reckon? Do you think he's going to be able to implement his game plan, Dolidze?
Yeah. I mean, the strength advantage is going to be clearly there for Dolidze against Holland. Holland's no slouch off of his back. He's got some slick submissions. We saw that in the last fight against Olashejuk when he got dropped and then came back and got the arm bar. He's got a couple of submission wins on his resume. So, look, I don't think Dolidze will be reckless down there. I think if he was able to kind of take his time, really set up some of his ground and pound shots, control first, and then maybe he could get Kevin out of there over time. But look, Kevin's going to be durable as hell. He's tough to put away. We all know that. Yeah. Decision Dolidze so far for me is what I'm thinking.
That's the logical thing, isn't it? I mean, other than his wrestling defense, Kevin Holland is he's a problem for most people, but that wrestling defense is going to be one thing for Dolidze to be attacking, I think. He likes to snipe from the outside, as you were saying. He's got that freakish power too. But yeah, logically, if he keeps it standing, if he gets it done within a distance, it's going to be likely to be Kevin to do that. But then you've got Dolidze, who's likely to drag it out to decision. If it goes to decision, then it's Dolidze's win. But given the fact that Dolidze has never been knocked out before, do you think Kevin can even do that?
To knock out someone like Dolidze? I mean, look, he's got to really compromise Dolidze somehow in the build-up to landing a big shot. I mean, I don't think it'd be enough to put Dolidze away via ground and pound. I think if he cracks Dolidze, I think his best bet would be to attack a submission first, personally. But I
mean, that would be a good chance of getting back to his feet if he does that. Maybe create a bit of a scramble.
No, I don't know. I think if he takes the back, he can really cause Dolidze some issues down there. At the moment, I mean, like I said, I'm siding with Dolidze, but thinking of ways to kind of victory for Kevin Holland, I think he's got to use his speed in this fight. I really do.
Keep it standing.
And keep it standing. I think is his best opportunity to get the
and it'll
W.
be a decision because I mean, the question really is: do you reckon he could knock him out? Could he catch him? Dolidze's not been knocked out.
I don't think so. I don't think.
Yeah,
I can see.
If you're a better man, you'd go Dolidze on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get into the
Dolidze
rankings.
needs a finish though. Dolidze needs a finish. I think. Yeah. It's not been a while. The Jack Hermansson submission was gnarly. The way he was able to tap Hermansson out was very impressive. And after that victory, I felt Dolidze is going to be the next contender, knocking at middleweight. And then all of a sudden, he loses to decisions to Marvin Vettoria and Nasadina Marvov.
I didn't think that should have happened.
If he wants to get back up there, he needs to get a finish against someone like Kevin Holland, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear that. I just don't think that should have happened, that loss against Vettoria. I was so sure that he would have had that fight. But I do think I was a bit biased as well watching it back. But let's get some chats up. You got to clear this one that's on the screen still.
Yes.
And then...
Django V in the house. Yes, hi all.
What's up?
He says, still not convinced on his black belt, though, says Breezy. I think he's referring to
Kevin Holland.
I mean, look, the subs he has pulled off have been pretty slick. think
just doesn't like the ground. He doesn't. He will stand up. He will get up and he will stay away from the ground game as much as possible. I mean, you saw it with Wonderboy Thompson, didn't we? He got him to the ground. He stood up. He wanted it to be standing.
He just wanted to entertain people. I think that's Kevin Holland in a nutshell. He's not in there just to get the win and do it in the smartest way possible. It's to put on a show for the fans.
It was pretty stupid of him to do that. I mean, in hindsight anyway. But, yeah, we loved it as fans. You're right. So whilst he does have a black belt, will he use it? That's the big question. Because he could have and he hasn't before.
Oh, he has? What do you mean? He's used his black belt many a time.
No, in the Wonderboy fight. He had a chance to really...
And the Wonderboy fight. Yeah, he didn't.
And he opts out of it and he stands up.
Let's move on for the Wonderboy fight. Because the Wonderboy fight was time ago.
It was
like several fights ago.
Yeah, but for Holland. But for Wonderboy, it was 2 fights ago. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, for Wonderboy. Wonderboy's been out of action for a while, you know. He was meant to fight Michelle Pereira.
That's the activity of Holland as well. And that's probably why you get fights like this that happen. It's like the fact of the matter is Holland is doing the most out there. Fights like this, which you think might not make sense. It's just a case of it's just another day in the office for him.
Yeah, we've got two submission wins since that Wonderboy Thompson fight. So
we got the gauges up in terms of striking. Who would you give that to? Who do you reckon's got the advantage?
I think Kevin's creativity. I'm gonna go with Kevin's creativity.
Yeah, he's got to get striking. Absolutely.
For me.
And then grappling. I think you got Roman Dolidze who's going to use it.
I think Roman Dolidze's strength is the key factor in nullifying the grappling of Kevin Holland.
Right on there. Cool.
Size makes a difference.
Power. Again, that goes on the strength, isn't it?
Dolidze.
Speed would be Holland.
But then Holland's got that sort of wind-up power.
He does.
Yeah, power's quite difficult, but I think I still probably would give it to Dolidze.
Yeah. Agreed. Outside of that as well. And then what about cardio? Who gets cardio?
I'd give Holland cardio. I think he's durable.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. So that's like three in favor for Kevin Holland.
Think about the altitude we're talking about here.
That is going to be a factor as well. And yeah, but then I think that also comes down to who's climatized to it the best, you know, who's kind of gone out there a lot earliest and put in some rounds and some training over there in order to adjust. So we're not going to find out until after the fight who's done that. Really.
That's why Embedded was pretty key this week. You know, Alex Pereira looked kind of chill. He was just out there enjoying himself. He looked calmer, as you might say in Spanish.
Yeah,
not Chama. Calma.
Get your chats in. What do you think about the gauges, then, folks? Some chats. Shango V says, "Agree, Breezy. Maybe a belt out of a Christmas cracker." Making the Walk MMA says the size difference is going to be pretty apparent in this one. Holland is going to get overpowered if he can't keep it at range. Yeah. Shango says, "Making the Walk. Yeah, if he gets walked down and stifled like a lot of fighters have this year, then he's in trouble." Almost certain that has to be Dolidze's game plan. So yeah, some guys in the chats very confident on Dolidze getting the victory in this one. Have you guys gone for a finish, or do you think he's going to steal away a decision?
Steal away. Nice. All right, let's get into the next card up and see what's happening there. What's the story over in Batamori?
Oof.
We'll clear that down. All right. So we're going to pop on over to the women's bantamweight division here. It's Ketlen Vieira versus Kayla Harrison. And Kayla Harrison, sorry. In the red corner, it's 14-3, and in the blue corner, it's 17-1. Now, Kayla Harrison is just an absolute beast when it comes to it. But, if we talked about Vieira for a second, she's coming off that win against Kianzad. But it's coming to this. She's actually the biggest underdog on the card. So why do you think that is?
Why she's the biggest underdog on the card? I mean, there's a lot of factors weighing in favor of Kayla Harrison. The fact that she's an Olympic gold medalist in judo, she's a former PFL champion, but not only that, she was a PFL champion in 2 weight classes above in lightweight. And that's purely because of the reason. And then not to add in the fact that she, in her UFC debut, who does this in their UFC debut, defeat a former champion. So it stacks heavily on Kayla Harrison. I'm not surprised by it at all. But Ketlen Vieira is is very capable of shocking a lot of people. I think she's got some good skills and some potentially might have some decent moments in this fight.
Yeah, no, you're right. Harrison, she's one of the most accomplished, achieved, like active, if you want to say, female fighters, and on the scene at the moment. To be fair, she is kind of on the. She's yet to really kind of become that it girl in UFC. Is coming. It's happening. You know, it took her 2 rounds to submit at home, of course, on her debut, as you mentioned. But do you think Holly was just a little bit old? Or do you reckon Harrison has leveled up since coming into the UFC?
I wouldn't say it's that. I would say it was kind of almost, and they said it in the broadcast, Holly wanted to try and prove a point against Kayla Harrison because it was her who actually initiated with the clinch game first in that first round. And she got reversed easily. Yeah. And then from there, Kayla Harrison put her on her and really weared her down. And we see it in Holly's recent fights. It's like she's kind of been bored of being a striker all of a sudden late in her MMA game, and she's just trying to round out her skill set as much as possible. And it's like when you get obsessed with something and you want to kind of almost prove to yourself and the world that you can do it, that she's kind of, that's what she did, like in that fight. And it was ridiculous. The way that she needed to approach that fight was to do what Holly Holm does best, and that's stay on the outside, use her kicks and a lot of lateral movement, and to really kind of tire her opponent out from chasing her. She didn't do that at all. So, you know, and that's why it kind of looked like an easy fight for Harrison. But I think this Ketlen Vieira fight is going to be a much harder one for her.
I reckon with Ketlen Vieira, it could probably end up looking the same way. You know, you could be talking about, of course, the fact that she likes to, well, she's not really over dominating, is she, Ketlen Vieira? She likes to wrestle with her opponents from time to time, and she looks to kind of draw things out to a decision. A lot of decisions there on the card as well. And that obviously, as you saw from home, plays into Harrison's game plan, right? But Cejudo,
it does.
He seems to think that Harrison could probably be in trouble from Ketlen if it stays standing. There's some truth in that, I guess. But what do you reckon? Is there truth in it, or is he just punting for clout?
It could be a bit of both, to be honest. I think that perhaps Vieira's got some good skills. You know, she's got some pretty good Muay Thai, and she's got some judo to her game as well. Now, no, that's not necessarily to say that, you know, she's on the same level as Kayla Harrison. She clearly isn't, but she might be able to use things a bit more effectively in MMA than what Kayla Harrison's able to do, you know. I think if she's able to kind of stay away from it and actually use her striking, I think she'd be better off in this fight doing that.
Yeah. Don't get herself into trouble like Holmes did.
But I think the most important factor actually for this fight is actually Ketlen Vieira's endurance for me, because you got to take in the fact that Kayla Harrison has had to cut quite a bit of weight in order to make 135, and it's still pretty shocking and surprising that she's still able to do that. So I think as the fight draws long, maybe that's where Vieira can really score points in the judges' eyes.
Do you reckon?
Potentially. I think for me, Harrison's going to have to get a quick finish.
Yeah. Well, I think this could be another... yeah, maybe you're right. I personally do think this could be another easy matchup for Harrison. I do think this could be another kind of walk through. She wouldn't be tested, is what I'm trying to say. But
I hope it is, because look, we need somebody who's going to put eyeballs on the women's bantamweight division at the moment.
Look,
you know,
we go.
Julianna Peña's best, or trying her best to do that. She's almost being portrayed as a bit of a villain now, and at the moment she's quite annoying. I think one comment the other day I saw was like she's the female Bilal Muhammad. But look, in a way, that is going to rile people up, and people are going to tune in to see her lose. So, you know, I think that division does need some bit of entertainment, and I think Kayla Harrison and Julianna Peña are the ones to do that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, my next question was really, do you think Peña would call her out? I mean, the idea is who would be a test for Harrison in the division if Ketlen Vieira is not, if it's a bit of a walkthrough for her, who would test her in this division?
I mean, look, Raquel Pennington's getting better and better with every fight. I think Juliet, but I still think stylistically maybe I don't think anyone is. Honestly, don't.
All right, it's just a matter of time then.
Julianna Peña can wrestle, but It is. It is. But I think it's all going to come down to trying to get Amanda Nunes out of retirement at the end of the day. That's the super fight.
We need another 300.0. I mean, we can't wait to 400, can we? That's not going to happen.
Not a chance.
Let's get the gauges up. Any chats there to go through?
Yeah, so chats, we got Shangavi says, agreed, mate. It's amazing how much opponents don't have an effective plan to counter that walk down tactic. Ash is in the house says, hello, lads. I made it. Well done, Ash. Making the walk says, Holly went in with a weird plan against a 2-time gold medalist. That said, yes, basically what I said. That said, Harrison, aka Triple H, was built to win that fight and take over this division. Absolutely, I'm spot on there from Making the walk. Look, I think the Triple H comparison is very spot on there, buddy. Smash a like on the video for Making the walk and MMA there.
Look,
great take.
Like we were saying, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time. And I think he couldn't have put it better himself. She's actually been made for this title slot. It's just a bit of a shame that it's coming a little bit later than that Amanda Nunes fight, because we just want to know. We do want to know, don't we?
We do.
We really do.
Yeah.
But who gets the striking in this one then? We did say earlier that I think if it does stay standing for Ketlen Vieira, then great, she's gonna have the best advantages. But does she get the striking advantage? I'd probably say cardio.
I would still give the striking advantage to Ketlen Vieira, and don't get me wrong, I think Kelly's Harrison's striking has been looking pretty good. I like the way that she's able to use her head movement to get out on the inside. And look, she can crack. She's got some powerful hands in her, but I think that the technical ability of Ketlen Vieira, I think, would be on better display in this one.
Yeah. All right. And then grappling. So that's got to be the one favoring home.
Easy. Yeah. Kayla Harrison all day.
Great. Power.
Ooh.
Oosh.
Power.
I'll go Kayla.
I think Kayla Harrison for power. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think Ketlen Vieira is quite strong for this division, and I've always felt that. But I do see, judging from her fights, I do see a little bit of lack of thing in her punches.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Decision merchant, right? So.
Yeah. Only 2 knockouts on her resume.
If you look at Harrison, she
But I guess Harrison's not really got much either. But
gets things finished. But she's
PKO.
Yeah.
Mainly.
Yeah. So let's talk about speed then. She's gonna have a speed advantage.
Speed.
Probably Vieira. Huh?
I don't know. Sure. Look, to be fair, I'm not too sure either, because I think Ketlen Vieira actually looked a lot slimmer in that Pani Kianzad fight. I thought she was in better shape for that one. Even though she wiped the floor with her, and I think she was probably fairly comfortable with getting the victory against Kianzad.
Yeah.
But
I'll go.
Look, if she comes into shape again,
I think Harrison actually is what I would say. I reckon it'd be.
I was on the fence of putting Harrison
because I mean, if I look here on paper, landed per minute,
very athletic.
She has the output at the very least, and I think that's probably what makes me think that the speed is there as well. All right, so we'll go Vieira, not Vieira, Harrison on the speed. But who gets cardio then? That's what I was thinking about. Vieira, I was thinking for cardio.
Yeah, I'd give Vieira for cardio.
Yeah, great. So that's how it looks.
3-2.
3 in the blue corner, 2 in the red. Would you be sliding with the blue corner on the night, do you reckon? I mean, the odds are massive, aren't they?
I want Kayla Harrison to win. If anything, I think she gets the submission in early in round 2.
Yeah.
Again, perhaps. That would be my bet. If she longs it out to a decision and we get to see her hold up across the 3 rounds, I think that would be a good thing for her. But I can see a submission personally. Breezy says, I strangely seem similarities in Harrison and Ronda's backgrounds, attitudes towards the sport, and dominant fashion. They can win fights, personalities, very different, but I do think she could have a similar career.
Yeah, correct. And that's something as well, right? The fact that Ketlen Vieira doesn't really dominate fights. Not so much anyway. And then you got someone like Kayla Harrison who does. She does dominate fights. We've seen her dominate home, of course, for example. And that's quite convincing.
Yeah. Vieira should have finished that Kianzad fight, in my opinion. I
She
think
didn't,
that's what
but she didn't.
really set her back a little bit.
Yeah.
When you look at the wins that she's had, all right, split decision against Holly Holm, but former champion. Decision against Misha
Yeah.
Tate, another former champion. She was knocking on the door for another potential rematch with Raquel Pennington. Pennington got the nod that night by a split decision. So, but it just wasn't to be. I think the UFC brass decided to use her as a stepping stone. Is it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Stepping stone it shall be. I think both these girls, whether they win or lose, well, the winner of this fight will be keenly looking on to the co-main event on the card,
Absolutely.
which we'll be tapping into just a minute. But before we do, let's go have a look at the king of Rio himself. It's a bantamweight division, and it's Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista. Now, red corner 32-8, blue corner 14-2. So you've got an absolute legend, right? Jose Aldo. Fact. You can't speak about Aldo without recalling the legend that he is. But the sad truth is, of course, about all legends is that they do get old. Or they are old by default if they are a legend. So how age is he now? He's like 38. That said, the last time out against Martinez, we said exactly the same thing. We said he's old. He said he's over the hill. Surely not. And I'm always happy to be proven wrong by Aldo, generally. But what's he still doing here? We all thought that he was going to go after that fight. King of Rio, fighting in his home turf. Thought that was it. It's a perfect opportunity to hang up the gloves. You can't take the fight out of the dog, can you? You just go.
Bro still got it. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, he tested the waters in boxing and was like, do you know what? I still can do this. I'm not exactly getting starched by everybody or any of these young bucks. So I'm going to continue and carry on. Now, I did kind of question why he's continuing with the UFC and where things lie in terms of his contract negotiations, what's left on his deal. Is he trying to fight out his current deal so he can move on to bigger things? And because of that, are the UFC just giving him these young bucks so that it makes him look really bad and therefore he doesn't sell in boxing events later on? But look, he passed that Martinez fight in flying colors. But there are some things that we should really take note on in this Mario Bautista fight, because Mario Bautista, a lot different style to Jonathan Martinez.
It is. It really is. And I'll get into that in just a second. I do think when you're talking about Aldo, you do look at the fact that he does still have it as well. I mean, the fear was, just why we all said it maybe should be retiring, was that he'll do what all these other great fighters have done, which is fight themselves into the ground, and then he's left on such a bad, legacy. He leaves on a bad note. Leaves us all with a bad taste about, oh, he should have gone a little bit earlier. Oh, he should have. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of want him to go when things are at its peak and its highest. But that's me with a pessimistic view of him perhaps not coming out on top in this fight. And let's look at the blue corner, right? Let's look at Bautista. He's coming off of a 6-fight win streak. Like, he's no slouch by and large. He took on Ricky Simon in his last fight, and he passed that one. I wouldn't say flying colors, but he was able to beat him there. I guess he's not all that dangerous with the hands, though, and that's what you want to hear when you're talking about someone who's getting a little bit older. You don't want, they say the chin is one of the first things to go. So he's never really KO'd anyone, is what I'm getting at. He's TKO'd people across the line, but never really knocked anyone out, Bautista. So if he doesn't get a fight down to the ground, it looks like it could be a bit of a long night for him. Like, do you think that was the chink in his armor that Aldo saw before accepting a fight like this?
No, well, potentially. I mean, Aldo's got some phenomenal skills on the ground as well. But that could be a reason in a way. I don't know. I think perhaps Aldo's just as game as they come, and he's willing to accept whoever the UFC put in front of him. I mean, if his goal is to kind of fight out his current contract with the UFC, then you're going to accept pretty much anyone regardless, right? I mean, personally, I think him coming back and fighting a Jonathan Martinez and a Mario Bautista doesn't really make sense when his fight prior to those two was Merab Dvalishvili. All right, okay, he was a bit of a stepping stone for Merab, but he fought Merab very well in that fight.
Yeah.
And before that fight, he beat Rob Font, who's also midway in the rankings. So it didn't really make sense to me.
You could have
He's hung in there with some of the best in the division, but still,
it's true. If you look at who
him.
he's beaten everyone who's either been a former champion or is now currently a champ. Looking at Merab Dvalishvili there in that example, except from Marlon Morales.
Yeah.
But otherwise, every other person, champ or former, right? Which is pretty impressive. And then I guess he looks at his career and he says, yeah, do you know what? I do still got this. So you reckon he took this fight not because he saw a chink in Bautista's armor, but because he's just got that dog in him that says, I'm game.
I guess there's also availability as well. We've got to consider those aspects as well, because a fight against Song Udong would have made a bit of sense. Obviously, he's coming off a loss against Peter Yan. That's back at UFC 299 in March. Maybe perhaps he's injured. Let's just say that. You've also got Marlon Vera. He was boxed up against Davison Figueiredo. Probably a better fight for Marlon Vera. And plus those two, Aldo and Vera, have already fought. I was campaigning for the Henry Cejudo fight. I was like, why is that fight not being made? They're both legends of the sport. They're both former champions as well. Similar points in their careers in a lot of ways. Why didn't that
and
fight
come
get
back,
made?
for example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Henry Cejudo was out for a lot longer, but still, like, it just kind of made a lot of sense. But maybe perhaps Henry Cejudo was injured, and I mean, he's still trying to do his best to get another fight against somebody higher up in the rankings than him.
He needs to start running his mouth more. Yeah,
it's
the only way
he does.
It's the only way he can really book those big fights now, isn't it? It's just there's no, on paper, no fight makes sense for him that's up there. But if he runs his mouth, he might be able to get something. Anyway, but let's get into the gauges. Anything in the chats? What are the boys saying?
Nothing new at the moment. Getting your chats. What do you think he's going to win against between Mario Bautista and Jose Aldo?
Striking. What do you reckon?
Aldo all day.
Yeah, I mean,
technically, prohibition skills are second to none.
Yeah, I'm going to chuck him power as well.
Yeah,
I'll give him that power.
Power is a good one, and I'd give him grappling as well.
To Aldo?
Yeah.
Do you think so? I would go.
Aldo's resume in grappling is unreal. Look what he's done in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championships.
Bautista, and he's on a 6-fight win streak, and in every fight he's taking someone down. And I don't believe you could say the same for Aldo. I mean, yes, he had the accolade back then, but Bautista's using it right now.
It doesn't really matter. The thing is who's better. And Aldo prefers to stand up and strike.
He does.
I mean, he took Martinez down like late in their fight in round 3 after rocking him.
Yeah.
But look, Aldo's got some jits, man.
Yeah, but also the fact that Bautista, he's using it right now, and I think he will use that in order to get the win in this fight as well. He would need to. He can't stand and strike with Aldo and expect to get anywhere. Not in my opinion, I reckon.
No, he would probably use it, but I still don't think it's better than Aldo's.
In his fight, I would say that it would be Bautista using it, but who's better is going to be ultimately what decides at the end, I guess, right? Speed, Aldo.
There's two different. I think for Aldo's got very good speed with his hands. But Bautista is actually really quick with his footwork. And I think that is something that needs to be looked at in this fight, personally.
You think that's
his
path to victory?
Yeah, because look, and not only that, it's also his cardio, which I'd give to Bautista as well. I think he's much more durable. He's going to be thrown with much more volume at Aldo. And he could very well disrupt Aldo if he sets a pace on him, which is something that Martinez wasn't able to do. Martinez fought at Aldo's pace, and which is why Aldo was able to win.
But also, Aldo gets more into the...
Oh, you're breaking up. What'd you say?
Oh, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yep, cool. Yeah, Aldo gets more into the fight as the fight goes long. Like his striking, the more you hit him, the more he gets a little bit Do you know what I mean?
He does, but it's also his cardio has been pretty notorious because he's so explosive in everything he does. He does kind of, fade as the fight goes on.
And
We saw that in the Merab fight. That's what kind of lost him the fight, in my opinion. Because okay, Merab was pressing for takedowns all the time, but Merab couldn't get him down.
perhaps
And
a
that's
different beast. Indeed, entirely.
no one gets Aldo down. That's the thing,
Doesn't look
And
like
if Bautista wants to get Aldo down, he's got to rock him on the feet first.
Yep. It's got a pretty solid takedown defense, to be fair. 91% takedown defense. Sitting there with the King of Rio, Aldo himself. Wowzers. It's good.
Yeah, he's still the only person Merab has not been able to take down.
That said something, doesn't it?
Which speaks volumes.
That says something. Well, I think on a night, the gauges here clearly point all the way down to Aldo red corner. And it does look good for him coming into it. However, you do think that speed, I'll give speed on Aldo's side, but you think that speed for someone like Bautista with the footwork.
It's difficult. I mean, this kind of goes into what Shango's saying. Speed is varied for either with regards to positions for each on feet, movement, positioning, holds, mat game. Speed does cover quite a lot of aspects. If you go for punching speed, it's Aldo. Like the way he's able to put combinations together is just rapid.
Output wise, it does look relatively good for Bautista, doesn't it?
Yeah,
he does have a lot of that output too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, who you going to win on the night? What's crazy about this actually is Bautista's a favorite, a small favorite.
There can be an upset from Bautista, but I think it would be from something that's quite unpredictable that Aldo doesn't see coming. And the reason why I say that is one thing about Bautista, which is quite good, is he does operate out of both stances. And you do kind of have that that unpredictability that comes with that style. Peter Yan has it, for example, and Peter Yan was very effective against Aldo in using that. So that could be quite a bit of a big factor coming into this fight.
Yeah.
He can crack Aldo. He absolutely can. And I think he can score points in those later rounds using his pressure and volume. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a bit of a mindset thing for Mario Bautista. Is he going to shell up because this is a legend in Jose Aldo in front of him right now? Is essentially maybe even a hero for him. Martinez came into that fight. He said he wasn't going to be fazed by Aldo. However, I do think that Martinez could have been fazed by the Rio crowd that night. That could have had a bit of an effect on his performance. It's not going to be there for Bautista. So,
and let's look at this, right? Cardio is Bautista. We've got that down here on the paper. But when you're in Salt Lake City, cardio can really be everything. Can be everything. True. So yeah, the odds there to favor Bautista in this matchup. On the night, I think I'll go Aldo. I've always been. I'm
going with Aldo. I mean, of course, I'm going with Aldo. I've loved watching.
Yeah, it's great.
Aldo from young. I've got one of his fight walkout T-shirts, the throne one, the blue one, back in the WEC days. I've been repping Aldo all day.
Fanboy. I was just gonna say when I was, I think the last one I went for Martinez in the last fight, but I was happily proven wrong.
I was actually very confident going into that fight. I just knew,
Right. Do you know what it was for me? I thought he left the UFC. He's come back for this one fight, and for me, it was just a bit like I reckon he's just come for, just to go out on a high, and therefore I don't think he was all that in it. And I thought he just like had half of his leg outside of the UFC, half in. I thought that he was going to fight with the amount of heart he did, but again, proved me wrong, and I was happily wrong on that one. Co-main.
Oof, here we go.
Yeah. Main event. Women's bantamweight division. So we're talking about Raquel Pennington versus Julianna Peña. Now in the red corner at 16-9-0 versus Peña's 12-5 here in the UFC. Now there's a lot to be said about this matchup. A lot of people are a little bit annoyed by Peña, as you were saying at the very front end of this. And of course you got Raquel, who's currently come on in and taken the belt, which was left vacant. And that was of course prior to Amanda Nunes, who vacated it basically anyway, wasn't it? So yeah, and she won that against Bueno Silva. So I would say in these fights, she didn't really dominate that fight against Bueno Silva too much, but she certainly does grapple a lot as well in terms of going through to decisions. I reckon if Pennington gets her way tonight, we could probably be in for quite a long night, and it might be a little bit boring in terms of how the fight's going to play out. What sort of things should Peña look out for, do you think, on the night?
Julianna Peña's got to look out for. I mean, it's mainly Raquel Pennington's boxing, which is very crisp. She's Pennington's striking. Well, she's going to have the striking edge in this fight, and I think it's going to be pretty clear. Peña's got some good straight combinations that she puts together. I mean, she was able to got a really good jab that she was able to stifle Amanda Nunes in their first fight. But yeah, I think Pennington's going to be the one who's going to be a bit slicker in terms of putting combinations together in the pocket. For me, Peña's strength is going to be in the wrestling. This one.
Yeah, I reckon so.
I think.
I mean, I'll just get some of the numbers up here on the screen as well. If you look at knockouts, Peña's got a few more of them. Percentage-wise, 25% of her finishes come by knockout, 6% for Pennington. And then, of course, you look at the decision, then you're really swinging the pendulum to the other side for Pennington, who's got like 69% of her wins coming by decision. So she tries to go the distance a fair bit. And if I do get a grappling stat up, then yeah, the takedown defense of Pennington's are going to be a little bit stronger. And of course, at average or even takedown accuracy. It's strange it does actually side with Pennington on this one as well. I think you do see a lot of desperate takedowns coming from Pennington. She's compromised and then she shoots on you, sort of thing. And the way she comes out is a little bit fire. I would say firecracker, but unpolished and she can catch you. She can catch you.
One thing I thought in the Bueno Silva fight was her defensive grappling was really good. Staying out of trouble the whole time against Bueno Silva. So there's some things that she's really developed over the years in her game, and I do have a bit more confidence in Pennington, I think, than Peña in this fight.
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, I'm much the same. I mean, what if you look at Peña? It's been 2 years since she's been in there. Last time Peña stepped foot in the canvas, that was the Nunes fight. So Nunes was running the joint back then. So 2 years off. She says she wants revenge. Pennington, anyway, I was watching something earlier this week in the press. She was saying that she wanted to Peña wanted revenge on Pennington because they were roommates way back in Tough. Do you remember that? And she was pretty upset with the fact that she didn't wash the dishes or that she was the world's worst roommate. Which, now look, Jordan, I like a story, but that's reaching.
That's really reaching.
Are
you really trying to sell this fight
I'm like, come on,
this
please.
much by just being like, oh, you were such a bad roommate. You never did the washing. You never did. Come on, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, at least find something a little bit better. Be like, I saw your dirty underwear laying around all the time. Like, I'm not even going to mention what was in it. It's clearly something. They weren't clean. Like, at least, like, poke fun at her this kind of way. Instead of being like,
I won't convict.
Oh, she never washed the dishes.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, she's worse than Bilal.
That's it. You're right. She's worse than Bilal Muhammad. I would definitely agree with the fact that it's something that I mean, generally, I'm not convinced that it's a good enough story, and I just thought it was a little bit ridiculous the way they kind of conjured that up. So I'm not really excited by this fight. I can't lie to you. I'm excited what happens next. That's what I'm excited for. I'm excited for looking at Harrison, who's down there. She's going to be looking at this fight, seeing who's coming out on top, and just seeing how she can get in on the next fight on the card as well. And that's what I'm excited for. What comes next? So that's why I'm excited to watch this fight, merely just to see how it plays out, and we can see how the next one comes on through. But I think everyone would rather see Pennington versus Harrison, wouldn't they? Or
yes,
what would be a better matchup actually? What would be a better matchup stylistically? Because if you think about it, Pennington, is she going to be another fighter who's going to play into Harrison's grappling game and actually play into how Harrison, the style of which works for Harrison in order to win? So we saw Holmes shoot on Harrison, ended in her demise. Pennington undoubtedly is going to be grappling and engaging in that way. But should she?
I think Peña, like I said, has got better defensive grappling than Peña. And I think Peña the Peña that we saw against Nunes in that second fight, I think does not really get anybody excited for her to fight Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
So Pennington needs to win this fight in convincing fashion in order for us to kind of be excited about what's next.
Yeah.
Because even if Julianna Peña was to kind of say, like, she goes out there, takes it down, submits her in round 1,
Right.
calls out Kayla Harrison. I mean, I think she's going to call out Amanda Nunes personally if she gets the win. But even still, we're still going to have that fight in the back of our minds. You know what I mean? And we're not exactly going to be as excited for it.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
So I think Pennington needs to win it.
She does. And I'm convinced she would as well. Let's get the gauges up to see how she does it. But I reckon that might be the way it goes, to be fair. Striking. Who'd you give the striking to?
It's got to be Pennington.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boxing.
Yeah.
Boxing.
We'll do that. Okay, and then what about grappling? I'll go Pennington again, to be fair. On paper.
Peña's got some good subs on her resume. Like, I'm seeing here, rear naked choke, guillotine, armbar in her early days, rear naked choke. So she's effective at taking the back. But like I said, I think, defensive grappling is Pennington's all day, and I think she can survive down there with Peña. So yeah, I think Pennington.
Pennington on the grappling. On paper, it's strange. You're right. On paper, it does side with Peña, but we've used our eyes and we can see who uses it effectively as of late. And I like the way Pennington has been utilizing it to sort of feed into her game plan. Granted, she gets to the decision most of the time, but a huge part of her game plan and what gets her there is just her ability to survive and do well on the ground. Power, though, who will get power? Wins by knockout.
I would say
Peña.
Pennington.
You would? On paper, Peña's got 25% of her finishes via TKO or KO, and Pennington.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is going to be via, it's going to be on the ground, punches and elbows. She's quite good at sort of securing mount, I guess, and offloading with strikes there as Peña. But in terms of like overall punching power,
I might go Pennington on speed, but for Peña, for me, I think.
I don't know. I thought Pennington maybe speed and cardio for Peña as well.
Peña on cardio.
Yeah, she was very durable in that Nunes fight. I mean,
true.
look, she kept it going, even though Nunes was dominating her. She did show a bit of heart and durability in that fight.
Although I'm not too convinced. I saw something that Peña had said in the week. She's mentioned that. What did she say? She said, it's unnecessary to get out to Salt Lake City early to climatize, because if you're just fit, then you're fit.
What?
That's what she was saying. She's saying, like, if you're healthy, you're healthy. You don't have to get out there early, which I don't think she understands. Yeah, exactly how it works. You do need to climatize. It's important.
I mean, come on, man. Look, we all saw. Was it Yuri and Glover at altitude? Oh, like, come on, man. You can't tell me that either of those guys were fit.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, Glover's back in, like, old. Glover was old at the time. But let's be real, he's still going to be in shape. So,
yeah, it's like, I mean, heavyweight fights at this altitude, it's probably the one thing that you'll never see, or you shouldn't ever see. Light heavyweight is probably the highest you would go with it. But yeah,
we actually don't have any heavyweights on the card this weekend.
No,
we have a light heavyweight fight. Ryan Spann over Separate.
No, you got to be confident that there's going to be a knockout, because both of them will probably be knocked out by 5. But speed, cardio. Let's go from cardio. I think cardio. Then would you go Pennington or Peña? You're right. You said she was fairly durable.
It's very difficult. It is quite 50-50 in that area. Help us out, guys.
Yeah, go on in the chats. What do you guys reckon? Where do you go speed? Where do you go power? Where do you even go for cardio on this one?
They're both very durable.
Yeah.
I mean,
on paper,
most fights
we would. Okay, if it's on paper, then we'll go power for Peña and cardio for Pennington, because a lot of her decisions come via wins come via decision with Pennington, and she's got more fighting time as well. 69% of her wins come by decision. So we'll go cardio with Pennington, and then we'll also go with power for Peña. That's the way it sides up. But then with speed, I can't really use these numbers to
I kind of think Peña is
figure
speed.
that one out.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it lands us. It lands us with 3 in the red corner, 2 in the blue corner. And on the night, I'm quite confident to go with Anne still. No, I'll be Pennington on this one.
Yeah.
And
I think Pennington needs to, really own up to the fact she's the champion now. So she's going to have a bit of a championship glow to her. I'm excited to see how she performs, to be honest.
Yeah. She'll be defending her title for the first time. So it's time for her to really kind of wear it well. Yeah. And
Breezy says, I'm usually making a coffee and number 2 at this point of the night. Wowzers. I'll get to Shango's comments on the Aldo versus Bautista fight in a bit.
Right.
But wow, Breezy.
He needs a coffee, does he?
Yeah. Well, he says that's where he's going to get his coffee at that point of the night.
Oh, I see. Yeah. This is the point of the night where, if you need to take a toilet break, go ahead. All right. We're coming down to the final stretch, aren't we? So we're looking at what is the main reason we're all here, ladies and gentlemen. The main event of the evening. Light heavyweight title bout between Alex Pereira and Khalil Rountree Jr. So in the red corner, that's 11-2. Blue corner is 14-5. I guess you can say a little bit about the height advantage here for Alex Pereira. He towers above most of his opponents when he's out there. And also you can look at that reach advantage as well that he's got. 79-inch reach to Rountree's 76.5-inch. So he's got some advantages there. And in the stand-up striking is probably where this fight's going to be taking place. And there's going to be a few things to be looking out for as well. Either side. These are 2 powerhouses. The power is going to be pretty... it's going to be on display. It's going to be on display. No one wants to be there for 5 rounds up in Salt Lake City, let's be honest. Now, undoubtedly, you would say that Pereira is a bit of a superstar. And it's hard not to acknowledge him for being like one of the most impactful fighters here as of late as well. Actively in the UFC right now. But his quick rise and dominance doesn't even end there. Like, did you know, with a win over Rountree, he would actually be breaking Ronda Rousey's record for the shortest time between 3 world title defenses as well? An accomplishment that he'll surpass by exactly around 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro's been active.
He's literally claiming like different titles out. He's claiming medals out.
He's been saving cards. Not only that, he's been saving cards.
Yeah.
For real.
He's been coming out here and doing the most. I mean, one thing I have to mention slipping here as well. Like, the only man to ever KO him in the UFC was Izzy Adesanya. Now, Rountree has the power, no doubt, but does Rountree have the fighter IQ?
I think so. I think for Rountree in the past, it's all about, I think, his mindset, really.
Yep.
And really unlocking his true potential, which, like I said at the front end of the stream, I feel like he's kind of done that because we're seeing something new from him, this new energy from him in the last sort of year or 2 or so. And I mean, people, like I said, I was asking the guys on Monday during the fan discussion, would you consider this as an upset if Khalil Rountree was to get the victory? They all said yes, but when you look at it style-wise, like, well, style-wise, he's the best matchup for Pereira. He's defeated former kickboxers in MMA.
Right.
Gokhan Saki was one of them. Very decorated glory kickboxer back in the day. Starched him. He also, it was a split decision, but he beat Dustin Jacoby as well. And he's done his fair share of kickboxing. So, they're stylistically, Khalil Rountree pairs up pretty well with Alex Pereira. I wouldn't be surprised if there is an upset this weekend for that reason. And, the fact that, all right, he's not the guy who was supposed to get the shot.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of a rocky story because of that. So, look, I mean,
and we will talk about Ankalaev in a second. But on this one, for what it is, I've fallen victim to scrutinizing the matchup initially from when it starts out, getting my mind kind of changed some point in the week, largely because of the build-up and the hype and the media. And then I kind of come to realize that I was right all along, and I should never have switched in the week. So I'm talking about the O'Malley versus Merab fight. So look, I'm sticking firm on this one. And that being said, on paper, you're right. Roundtree does make a compelling argument. He really does. I don't even need the media to get in there and the hype stories to kind of get me a bit excited. I'm just stubborn on this one, and I'm kind of staying with my initial thought because I was a bit annoyed about how it all panned out with the O'Malley Merab scenario. And look,
yeah,
you kind of convinced me even on what you're saying earlier. I'm not going to change, but you do make a compelling argument. The fact that Roundtree is someone who typically would beat Pereira stylistically, but then you wouldn't discount Ankalaev either.
Yeah, I mean, Ankalaev is just not getting the rub because people think his style is boring. I think he can wrestle and he can strike. Don't get me wrong, the fight with Pereira will be intriguing for that reason, but Ankalaev's got very good wrestling, and I think it's kind of obvious to a lot of people that that's what he's going to employ against Pereira, and he'll just, wrestle Pereira to a boring decision. That's what everyone's expecting, and that's why this Roundtree fight is much more intriguing. Gets people more excited for the fans.
Look, you kind of gotta milk your cash cow, and right now, that's who Pereira is to the UFC. And if you sat down and you said what's going to be a more exciting fight, what fight makes sense? Ankalaev versus Pereira. Okay, what's more exciting? Roundtree versus Pereira. Do you know what I mean? Okay, cool. Let's go with exciting. Why do we have to make sense?
Division-wise, Ankalaev is the next in line. But Dana did say, actually, in an interview, I think yesterday, that if Ankalaev wins convincing enough, then he is next for the winner.
That's not even fair, though.
I think he did say something along those lines.
If he said, if he wins convincing enough, if he wins, then he's next in line. That's how he says for everyone else. For everyone else, he says, if they win, next in line. He never gives like strenuous conditions, like convincingly enough, like makes it.
Because there's no hype for it. There's no hype behind him. If his name was Magomed Nurmagomedov, then he would have got that shot like 3-5 fights ago. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, you're right. If it was Nurmagomedov at the back end of that, great. Just put Khabib in his corner and then do you know what that should.
Bro's even from a different area of Dagestan. Like, Dana's like, I don't care about that area. Like, you know what I mean,
do you have the Nurmagomedovs in that area? Then you're rivals. Yeah, I can't believe it. And look, it is what it is. But at the same time, I'm not mad at this fight. I'm not mad at this is happening. At first, I thought injustice, but
I think there is some level. Like I was saying to the guys the other night, I think the UFC are changing their business model up a little bit, and they do kind of want a bit more of a diverse set of champions from different countries. Because that's how they're going to conquer and get eyeballs over from around the world. The thing is, they've already got a Russian champion in Islam Makhachev, so they probably don't really need another one as such. If Roundtree beats Pereira, you've got for Brazil, Pereira and Pantoja, but Pereira's the biggest seller anyway. If Roundtree beats Pereira, his stock's just going to go rise, and he's going to be hopefully a bit more of a fan favorite in America, because the only American champions at the moment, believe it or not, are Bilal Muhammad, who technically represents Palestine because he's all pro-Palestine, and Raquel Pennington.
Yeah, and I like your argument there, Jake. I really do, but there's a small flaw in it. If that's the case, then why haven't they made John Jones versus Tom Aspinall yet?
Well, John Jones is the other champion as well, but the reason why I left him out is because we've not seen him.
Yeah, but then also
we're still yet to see him.
But also, I was just saying, like they should have made that fight with Tom Aspinall so to get a UK champ up there as well, and then more reasons to come over this side.
But John Jones sells more and he's more popular. But I get it, all right. But once John Jones goes away, who have the US got? That's what I'm saying. If he's clearly gonna retire in November. We know that's gonna happen. But then that's it. For America.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go over to the gauges then, shall we, and find out what this looks like.
Yeah,
these bad boys striking. Oh, actually, got any comments there? Read some comments out and then give me a comment.
Yeah, salute fellas says
what's
Wales.
up, Wales?
Yes, Wales.
How you doing, geese?
Good to see you, brother. We'll get to Shango's Aldo comments on the back end.
Sure.
We'll save them for a little bit later.
I'm on the edge of my seat now. You got me waiting for them. I'm keen to hear it.
Wales says Bo Nickel will be champ one day. I guess Bo Nickel will be coming up. They'll fast track him for sure, but maybe in a year or two.
Yeah. I love looking at that talent that's coming through fast. It all happens at the top, but then these guys do not take your eyes off of them. Striking, who do you reckon is going to get that? It's tough, actually.
Very tough. So to break down the striking, you've got
you got to look at kicks.
Khalil, who's very explosive, sort of power, and then you've got Pereira on the other hand, who's very technical and kind of very precise.
Calculated.
I'd still give Pereira the striking purely because just how decorated he is in kickboxing and in MMA. So without doubt, pretty obvious.
I'll do that too. I'll side with that, but partly because I feel like he's got a few more weapons at his disposal. He's got those leg kicks that Rountree's really gonna have to be looking out for as well as those hands. Grappling. Oh, you should probably ditch this one for the
difficult. Yeah,
I'm never gonna use it at all.
It ain't happening, bro. I mean, if anything, it'd probably be Pereira to initiate grappling because, look, yes, that's just to nullify the explosiveness of Rountree.
Yep.
You know, if he's able to tie a Rountree down, I think grappling would be.
I'm not sure how accurate these numbers are, but it's 0% takedown accuracy for Rountree, either because he's never tried. And then it's 100% for Pereira because he's probably tried once and got it. Do you know what I mean? So, it's crazy. It's crazy. Not that we're going to.
Pereira's actually a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which it says here, which is very surprising. I didn't think he was. I think it might have been quite a recent accolade where nothing actually says for.
I mean, of course he is. I mean, every Brazilian's born with a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, the umbilical cord is the black belt when they get pulled out of their mother. So it's.
I'd side it with Pereira because we've actually probably seen more of it from Pereira.
Yeah,
quite surprising.
I definitely didn't side with Pereira because he was Brazilian. Power. Who's gonna have the power? Potan or Khalil Rountree?
Oh man, that's horrible.
Guys in chats, help us out, please.
That's the thing because Khalil has that. Like I said, Khalil has that explosive power.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, technique for Pereira is the main thing, and when he lands, he sends people into orbit. And he's very calculated with that.
Tombstones, doesn't he?
Whereas, like, seeing Khalil against.
Do you see that? You see that thing on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, when he was walking past Yuri Prohaska and he looks at him and Yuri got knocked out. Did you see that?
I think so. Yeah.
It's on X. It's like Potan's so powerful that he only has to look at Yuri and he gets knocked out. So Yuri's literally obviously just got knocked out, getting help to his feet, looks at Potan, and he just like fumbles again. It did look like his stare just knocked him to the ground. It's great.
Reezy says, I mean, it has to be Potato Head. I mean, who are you referring to as Potato Head? I think both guys could very well be called Potato Head.
It kind of looks a bit. It's got to be Potan Potato, right?
Potan. I mean, going power for Potan, speed for Khalil. And I'll give cardio to Potan.
Yeah, should we try that out? See how it looks on. How we try it on for size. Cardio, you want to go Potan. Speed, you reckon that's Khalil, and power, Potan. Yeah.
Oh man, it's so difficult.
Yeah. This cannot go the distance. I can't see it going the distance.
Surely not.
Surely not. Power, I could probably put over for Khalil Rountree, but we just so badly know Pereira for doing it as of late. We really do. And
yeah, Khalil is one big mofo, but the left hand from hell. Yeah.
That'll be a key thing. Yeah, I like that. I think red corner is probably where I'm going to be siding on tonight as well. As I said initially coming into this, I thought this fight didn't make sense initially. I thought, yeah, it's clearly going to be a win for Pereira. And I have been convinced that this is... I'm not mad at the fight. Let's just get that straight first and foremost. And secondly, on paper, this does look like it. Roundtree does have a shot. He can really get an upset here. The odds here have been sort of tightening up, haven't they? So on the night, I'm going Potan still. But
yeah,
Khalil can catch him.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Rountree does get the win, but I'm siding with Potan on the night. I think he's got to win. Purely because we've got to keep his stock there. There's got to be some fun fights lined up for him still at light heavyweight. So
I reckon
Breezy says we need to see the fight. See the fight to see the answers. It's a really tough one. Not envious of you two at all.
Yeah, he knows it's real hard.
Django says every Alex fight I've predicted, I've been around out at least, and they have gone completely different to how I've thought. So I wonder what your thoughts are, Django. Just so I can know it's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah.
And not to go with that.
Yeah. Django put second round knockout. Okay, so it's going to happen in the first. If it happens in the first, then we're just going to say, yep, see, we said that was going to happen. Of course, fight shouldn't have never happened, etc. and so on, all of that. You know.
Or third round sub for Pereira when altitude effects kick in. Khalil's got no gas left in the tank. Neither has Pereira, but Pereira's got like that little bit more gas and just somehow gets a rear naked choke. No hooks in, just that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No hooks needed. Django says, I give a tick on the Alex side for UFC Terminator looking. So I walk on KO for Alex. There you go.
Walk on KO for it. Yeah, he just walks on, has a look up, knockout.
I think I see what you're doing there because it's actually going to be a walk off KO for Alex.
Just walks on and it's done. And walks on out, sorted, no cardio tank needed.
Love that.
And that takes us to the very end of it, mate. That brings us back to gold. I'm keen to see what those chats were a little bit earlier on, but as we go back for it, potential fight of the night, JK, and you guys in chats as well. What's that going to be? I reckon it's going to be the main event for me.
Yeah, it's the one I'm most intrigued about. I was speaking to the guys with the fan discussion on Monday. Yeah. A lot of them were saying Stephen Wonderboy Thompson against Joaquin Buckley. Not mad about that pick at all. I think that's a good one. Or Marina Rodriguez against Lucindo was another good one that threw out there. Or Aldo versus Bautista. I think Aldo Bautista has got possibilities to be fight of the night.
Yeah, it'll be relatively close. Stakes are high in this main event for me. I reckon this is probably where I'd hang my hat. It should be pretty good. I would hope that we see some good performance from Aldo in that one. Yeah, just so we know he's still got it. But you know, I'm always going to be asking the question: how much more does he have in him? You know, how far is he going to go? I do wonder. What was the chats on it earlier?
So Shango said, scary thing with the Aldo fighter graphics you guys have here is they are actual size. Really notice that. Shango, he also says Aldo versus Bautista are either going to be a belter of a fight or close, and they nullify each other. Yeah, I mean, a lot of similarities to the styles.
We see those leg kicks back from Aldo.
Great leg kickers. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
I say so. If he wants to slow down that pace, I think he's gonna have to.
Yeah, he certainly needs to bring him in.
Opinion.
That for sure. What about you guys in the chats? Any votes for the potential fight tonight? What your thoughts on that were? For you guys,
Shango said main
event. Yeah. Yeah. They're the two ones on there that are looking pretty good. Should see Harrison perform, which I'm looking forward to as well, and then finding out how that co-main's going to be sizing up as well. But that's it from us, guys. That's it done. We put in a solid shift for you. We've gone over the main card for UFC 307. It is Pereira and Khalil Rountree that are going to be headlining that event back in Salt Lake City. So the altitudes are going to be high. And we would hope to see plenty and ample full amounts of knockouts on the night, especially with the amount of power we've got infused into this card. That's something I would often say about Khalil Rountree. Just a personification of pain. The guy is serious violence incarnate. But on the night, where will you be? We're going to be, as we are always, over at the YouTube channel with the Against Defense watch along. So we're going to be giving you full coverage of the main card. So do come on over. We will be with, of course, YouTube, but of course as well, it's BR that will be there too. So we'll give you all the details about that as we go through. But do like, subscribe, and there's comments below as well where you could keep up to date with everything that's happening and going on. I think that's it from me. Anything from you, JK?
No, that's it. I mean,
Sweet.
pretty nail on the head. Make sure you join us this weekend. Get those notifications bell on for our channel, and we'll see you for the watch along.
Indeed, we shall. See you there, guys.
Bah!